Hi, this is Drew Jones of Drew's Guitar Shop in Seattle, Washington, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about wiring mods as it comes to pickups. Now, in particular, I want to talk about the difference between four conductor and two conductor humbucking pickups, because this guitar here was supposed to have some features in it. Ideally, in that we were supposed to have like a phase setting up here for this humbucker that doesn't exist now, because this is a two conductor pickup and it's just not capable of taking that kind of modification. If you were trying to do a modification with a humbucking pickup, you really do need to have four conductors coming out of it ideally. There are three conductor pickups which are their own thing. There are different reasons why those three conductor pickups work, but they're very rare. You'll hardly ever see them outside of certain Gibson models and other kind of weird custom rigs and stuff like that. They're out there, not saying they aren't. You may run into them. If you run into them, look them up separately from the four conductor pickups. They do not work the same. Look them up separately from the two conductor pickups. They do not generally work the same. This is about four conductor pickups here. So what it means to have four conductors coming out of your pickup, which is kind of a little bit of a misnomer. Some people will look at it and think, oh, there's 5 wires coming out of here. Yeah, there is, because you have a ground generally that's separate, and sometimes you'll also have a sleeve, and if we're being totally technically accurate, that sleeve, that foil coating or the braided coating is also a wire. That is a ground as well. And then you'll have a start to your north coil and an end to your north coil, and a start to your south coil and an end to your south coil. And that is where your four conductors come out. Now, if you are trying to do like a series parallel, you do need those leads to be separated. You cannot have a two conductor humbucker, because in two conductor humbucker, what's going on is that all of those wires that we just talked about, the starts and ends and everything, those are all kind of wired into each other and made into a like the standard humbucker setting that you were all used to, and that's where your two wires come out. You wire it up like you normally would a single coil, and you're good. But when you have when you want to do something kind of crazy, like have the thing play out of phase or have it play series parallel, you do need those other conductors, because that's at the point that you really need to start paying attention to where that end and finish go for each coil. So unfortunately, because we have a single coil here and we have a two conductor humbucker, this guitar will really not get a lot of benefit out of the four-way switch that is in here. Basically what we're going to end up with is a setting that has a bridge setting, bridge neck, and then neck, and then another neck setting. So we're going to have two redundant neck settings. And that's fine. It works. It's going to work. That's what the customer wants, so that's what I'm going to do. But if we did want to do the phase and everything else, you do need to have those four conductors coming out of there. There's just no way around it. There's nothing you can do with the two conductors coming out of a humbucker that will affect the tone really in any way. With single coils, it's different, because if you think about it, you've got two wires coming out of here. That's your start and finish. And if you have two single coils together, you have another start and a finish, right? So that's where your modifications come from in, say, something like a Stratocaster. If you wanted to have like a neck and middle that played in series or parallel, you could do that because you had the start and finish to each of those coils, and you could work with that, and you could produce that effect in that in-between setting. But that setting in between would really be the only one where you noticed it, because if you had a series parallel setting on your guitar, on your Stratocaster, and you went right up into that setting that was just the neck pickup, you wouldn't hear a difference. Not really. I'll bet there are people out there that will tell you up and down that they can hear the difference between that single coil in one setting versus the single coil in the other, but it's really not making a noticeable difference in the tone, because all you're doing is you're kind of changing the direction in the case of like a phase switch of like which way around the coil the electricity is going, and that really isn't going to affect anything unless you have another coil for it to play with. Once you have the other coil involved, that's when you can start hearing a difference between series parallel or in phase, out of phase wiring and all of that stuff. But the two coils need to be involved, and they do need to have those separate separate in and outs in order for you to wire them so that they're going to do that thing. And it will only work when two of those pickups are working at the same time. So in the case of a humbucker, you've got your two single coils in here basically, and you got to be able to access the ends of both of those coils in order to make this thing do a thing. And the same goes for single coils. Those single coils, generally speaking, have the two wires coming out of them. And I will again kind of preface that by saying that there are single coils out there that you will find once in a while that do have 3 wires coming out of them. There are different reasons why that may be the case in your particular single coil. It doesn't mean that it's wrong, it just means that you've got something else going on. And you should probably, if you're going to get into wiring that thing, figure out what it is that you have going on in that particular guitar that necessitates that third wire. So anyway, the takeaways that I want people to have from this video are that if you want to do fancy wiring mods that involve 2 coils playing together, that is to say a series parallel or a phase switch of some kind, that you do need to have access to a start and a finish for a north and a south coil. And if you do not have those, you do not have a way to do whatever wiring mod it is that you want to do, really. So when you go out and you're buying your pickups and you want to do the wiring mod, make sure you know what you're looking at, and then make sure that you have the correct components to do what it is that you want to do. And for you Strat players out there, just keep in mind that your wiring mods that you're going to do, like a series parallel or like a phase, are really only going to have an effect on the tone when you have 2 of those pickups on at the same time, because those coils need to be able to play with each other in order for them to do what that mod is meant to do. Otherwise, you just have a single coil. That's the end of the story, pretty much. So, this has been Drew Jones of Drew's Guitar Shop in Seattle, Washington. I hope you found this video helpful. If not, let me know what I can do better in the description or in the comments. And if you wanted to kick me a few bucks for this video, there's a link to my Ko-fi and a Patreon in the description of the video. There's also a link to my website, and on my website you can find a page that I wrote up about taking care of your stringed instruments. And there is my contact info and price page on that website that you can also look at if you are in the Seattle area and want to get some work done, or maybe price shop around, Anyway, I've got lots of other videos like this. Check them out, link them around if you find them helpful, and thanks for watching.